Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham, and with free agency just over a couple of weeks away, I'm going to take a look at some affordable free agent targets for Ryan Poles and the Bears. Obviously, there's some big-name, high-price targets out there that we've discussed on this show, the Trey Smiths, the Drew Dalmans, the Khalil Macks of the world. You got Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, other high-price players that the Bears could look to add a couple of those guys with the amount of cap space they have, which is currently projected to be around $69 million. Could easily get well more if they cut players, restructure contracts. We'll see what they end up doing, but we'll see what the approach is on that front. But also, you got to find those role players, those lower-level starters, etc., affordable free agents. So we're going to take a look at some of those guys that the Bears could bring in. If you're excited for free agency, hit that like button on today's show. Can't wait to cover it once again with all of you guys, so it should be a lot of fun. If you're excited for free agency to be here, hit that like button, and stay tuned. More content to come. Okay. Number one is Kevin Zeitler, the offensive guard from the Detroit Lions, as obviously the connection to Ben Johnson here. Played really well in Detroit, and really just throughout his career, two things stand out: consistency and durability. Yes, he's going to be 35 years old, but he's only missed 6 games in the past 10 years, which is pretty incredible for an offensive lineman. He's played for Baltimore for a long time, a winning organization. Since he's been in Detroit, they've been a winning organization, so he brings that to the table. He could be kind of a veteran voice for that offensive line room, but he's also still a good player, right? Like he would help your offensive line as a starting guard. If you were to get a guy like Trey Smith, he would probably play Zeitler at left guard, even though he's primarily played right guard. I think he could do that just fine. I could definitely see a scenario where Ben Johnson is, pushing Ryan Poles like, hey, let's bring this guy in here, 1 or 2 year deal, $6 to $8 million per year, plug and play starter, and he'll be a good voice for that room as well. Okay, Tutu Atwell next up here, the Rams wide receiver. I would be surprised if L.A. brought him back. Thought he played pretty well last year, especially early in the season when Nakua and Kupp and company were injured. Had his best season in terms of yardage and catches, production there. And something we've talked about quite a bit on this show is two things. One, adding more speed to the offense, especially at the wide receiver position. I like Keenan Allen as a player, but he's older. He's not a burner at this point. I think him signing elsewhere is probably going to make most sense for both sides. And two, in addition to the speed, is just going cheaper beyond your top 2 receivers. Bring in a Tutu Atwell type. Draft a guy. You have Tyler Scott. Just let guys compete, and at that role, you could bring in a Tim Patrick of the world as well. He could certainly fit this bill of affordable free agent. So I expect the Bears to go cheaper at that spot, as they are going to emphasize the trenches. At least I hope they do that. All indications would suggest that is the case. What say you? Who will be the Bears' number 3 wide receiver in 2025? Is it someone who's currently on the team? Maybe you think they do bring back Keenan Allen. If you had to predict it right now, who do you think will be the Bears' number 3 receiver? Okay, Demarcus Lawrence, a name we haven't talked a ton about. Just been a steady presence off the edge for Dallas's defense for over a decade now. Did miss most of last season with the foot injury, so that would have to check out because obviously trench players' feet, that can be a little bit tricky. We saw it with Ogunjobi, which is why the Bears had to pull out of that contract. But he's just been solid throughout his career. He's always been a better run defender than pass rusher, although he's been a pretty good pass rusher. Just for context, even though he'll be 33 years old, last year in just 4 games played, he had 3 sacks. And the year before, PFF gave him a 91 grade in 2023, and he played all 17 games. So I still think when he's healthy, he is a starter, a good player in this league. If you don't get like a young, ascending pass rushing type, opposite of Montez Sweat, a guy like a Demarcus Lawrence on a 1 or 2 year deal could make some sense. I don't think you'd have to break the bank for him. PFF projects he'll get like $7.5 million on a 1 or 2 year deal on a per year basis. Okay, we are trying to get to 118,000 subscribers. If you want daily Bears content, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Let's get to 118,000 subs. Hit that sub button. We got you covered. Okay, Jedrick Wills Jr., the offensive tackle out of the Browns. I think an interesting player. because he was a huge prospect coming into this league. He was the number 10 pick out of the Browns in 2020. Had moments, was a full-time starter his first 3 years in the league, I believe, and then last year got kind of phased out, and this year didn't play a ton. But I would be intrigued on like a cheap one-year deal to just see what's there, considering his pedigree as a former first-round pick. I think it could give you insurance and competition at left tackle. Remember, Braxton Jones had ankle surgery after the season, so we'll see where he is at with that. Gives you some competition. We don't know what the Bears view Karan Amagaji as. Worst case, he could be a swing offensive tackle type. He can play both sides. So I'm not sitting here acting like, hey, let's go cheap and have Wills be the week one starting left tackle. He's your guy moving forward. But if you want a guy to push Braxton Jones at a cheap price, if you want a guy that can help get you through the offseason program, if Jones isn't healthy, or just someone to throw into the mix, I think Jedrick Wills could fit that mold. Because remember, too, Larry Borum's a free agent as well. So you really don't even have that swing tackle in place unless you think Karan Amagaji is that. And if they do, maybe you don't sign Jedrick Wills. But if you're unsure about Amagaji, or if you want to try him at guard, then Wills should be a cheap guy that you could bring into the building. Will Braxton Jones start at left tackle in 2025? What say you? Type Y for yes, he will, or type N for no, he won't. I'm leaning yes. I think the interior is what gets addressed primarily this offseason, so we'll see how the Bears view it in the next few weeks. Okay, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Also, get yourself an FGB t-shirt, chatsports.com/FGB. Link is in the comments and in the description of this video. If you hate the Packers as much as I do, get yourself a shirt today. Okay, Jeremy Chinn, the last primary player we're going to talk about. Then we'll take a look at some honorable mentions. Commander safety who can play both safety spots, although he's more of a box safety, which is why I kind of like this fit because, again, the Jaquan Brisker situation I think is unknown at best. I'll be curious to see if Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles at the Combine next week talk about Brisker and how they view him moving forward, how they view about the safety position, because even Kevin Byard, he's got 1 year left on his deal, and he's 32, so he's not a long-term guy. Chinn's a good tackler, does a little bit of everything. He's not great at anything, but he's pretty solid in all areas. He's a good tackler. He can rush the passer a little bit from that safety spot, play in the box, gives you decent ball skills against slot receivers and tight ends as well. I just don't be shocked that the Bears add a safety, whether it's in the draft, whether it's in free agency. Even if they like Elijah Hicks and or Jonathan Owens, just given the uncertainty around Brisker, I think adding someone there is very much on the table. All right, some other names just to monitor. Brandon Scherf, kind of in the Kevin Zeitler mold, older guy, 1 to 2 year deal, shouldn't cost a lot of money, plug-and-play starter at guard. Poona Ford had a really good year with the Chargers, a really good nose. If you want to kind of pair him with Andrew Billings, have a couple of vets in there that can stuff the run, I wouldn't mind that. Zach Ertz, would he come to Chicago? I don't know. You would think he'll either re-sign in Washington. He and Jaden Daniels had a good thing going last year. He would go sign with like a veteran trying to win the Super Bowl now type of team, like the Bills or something like that. The Ravens, whatever. I guess those teams have tight ends, but you get the drift. Chiefs maybe, especially if Travis Kelce retires. J.K. Dobbins, I want to go draft at running back, but, if they wanted to take a look at a Dobbins or a Nick Chubb on a very cheap deal, I wouldn't be completely opposed. Dante Fowler had a really good year with the Commanders. I think he had like 9 or 10 sacks, so he could be someone, on a 1 or 2 year deal, someone who's more of a pass rusher than a run stopper, but could give you a different look on the opposite side of Montez Sweat. All right, there you have it. Some affordable free agents that the Bears should be monitoring as we are just about 2.5 weeks away from the start of free agency. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to cover this football team on a daily basis, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.